Now, it is feared that conspiracy theories and false claims about the virus vaccine could cause some to be reluctant to be immunised. We can talk to Colliver from the Institute for Strategic Dialogue, who leads a global team of analysts studying disinformation and extremism online. We hear about disinformation so much when it comes to vaccine, but it kind of falls into two groups, doesn't it? Those people who are just completely against it and those who just genuinely are unsure.
Absolutely. We've seen a long-standing and very well-established anti-vaccination community grow online over the past few years. And those are generally hard and fast believers in conspiracy theories that undermine any trust in any kind of vaccination. But what we've seen this year around the COVID-19 pandemic is a much broader milieu of general hesitant individuals who might not have the correct information about vaccinations and who might be vulnerable to receiving disinformation or being exposed to disinformation online. So that's a much bigger group that we're quite concerned about as we see these vaccines start to get rolled out.
But this second group that can still potentially continue to spread that disinformation, how does one counter that?
Absolutely. And the research has shown that family and friends are often the most viral spreaders of disinformation about vaccinations, not celebrities or known influencers or conspiracy theorists. So there's certainly a role for individuals and users online to play themselves in being very critical about the information they're consuming and making sure the sources are correct and that they trust where the information is coming from. But equally, government and public health authorities have a huge role to play here in getting good and evidence-based information out to people at speed and scale in what is an extremely fast-moving situation. And finally, the tech companies themselves, who have allowed anti-vaccination content and networks to flourish for many years, they have a role to play in either removing or demoting or at least labeling and fact-checking false information when it's going right on their platforms.
So how do you counteract? How do you explain to somebody this idea? Because you hear about people thinking, oh, these microchips in arms, etc. That's a common one that's going around. How do you counteract that?
Sadly, conspiracy theories are often very well embedded in people's psyche, so it's a difficult kind of thing to counteract. But trusted messengers are really important. So people from their community or from institutions that they still have faith in could be the best messengers to get fact-based information to them. That's not necessarily always the mainstream media, the news, or authorities or government. So we have to think about other messengers who might be credible in their eyes to get them the right information.
And I know that one of the ways, if you see something that makes you feel anxious, it's about the idea of taking a step back and thinking, hang on, why is that making me feel like this? How do I feel about this? But when you're bombarded with so much information, and this is happening, especially right now, so quickly, what's your piece of advice to somebody who's got a message, they want to pass it on to somebody else because they're genuinely concerned?
I'd say first, check the source. If you know where it's come from and it's an organization or an institution that you trust, and that has a good reputation for evidence-based reporting, then that's going to give you a strong signal that it's something that you can share with some faith that it will be good information for those around you. But also check your emotions. As you noted, disinformation is purposely created to play with our emotions and to make us want to share and engage with that content. So if it makes you feel something particularly strong, then definitely take a second check and make sure that information is coming from a viable source.
Yes, good advice. Chloe, thank you so much for that. Colliver from the Institute for Strategic Dialogue.